Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video cast and podcast for the week ending February 9th, 2020. This is episode 349, where we talk about all things smart controls. But this week, we're going to talk about the biggest party in Orlando. Don't want you people worrying. Although we do have video footage of you, we're not going to use it to our advantage. We're going to show you guys having a good time, but talking about a good time. What would a good time be without your host and mine? The man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only secret agent, Harry Potter man, Kenny Smyers, the control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Well, I would hate to have to write those, what do you call those, suffixes to your name? You know, like if you have a PhD and ACPP.
You'd have to have a pretty big business card, wouldn't you?
But I want to commend you on your recuperative skills to get back in saddle and another day of sunshine down there in Georgia, huh? Because it was a pretty rough week there that we were constantly on the go and you know, meeting deadlines and put on the show and like you said, it turned out to be magnificent Super Bowl party and you know, with over 300 people there, and it was just a great show. And congratulations to all the winners. We can start somewhere along there.
Well, I tell you what, I think we are, but let's back up a minute and again. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Without the sponsors, this could not happen. Our Platinum Plus sponsors, Kmc Controls and EasyIO, all the rest of the Platinum sponsors, Silver sponsors, Bronze sponsors. If you wonder who they are, go on to the ControlTrends website because that's where you'll find them. And Kenny, I was just super pumped. I thought it was a great event. And I'll tell you what, why don't we give our audience a little flavor? If you're watching the video cast, you'll want to see this. The show started, and if you remember, it was a football theme because we had this biggest Super Bowl party in Orlando right after we had the ControlTrends Awards show. So that being the theme, we kicked it off just right. So I'm going to play this little video clip, this little teaser video that our videographer Brad put together. So let's take a look at that to get this party started, so to speak.
Do you want a drink? Are you ready for some football? Hey, this is Rockin' Ramblin' Rides, ready to get this thing started. So good luck to you all, have all of the lights. All my control friends are here tonight. Do you want a drink? Hey, do you want a party? Hey, this is Rockin' Ramblin' Rides, ready to get this thing started. So good luck to you all and turn up the lights. All my control friends are right here tonight. Somebody scream.
All right, Case Watch, what do you think about that Roger Rebanak, huh? Who knew? Who knew?
It's awesome. Well, you know, he's an entertainer. I mean, I work with Roger, and I could tell you that he's very quick-witted. I don't know, he's a machine. But when it comes down to entertainment, he really has a special gear. We had very little time to rehearse that. We asked him kind of off the cuff because, like you said, you wanted a grand opening, grand closure, and he delivered the goods. That was just. I was impressed. It caught everybody's attention because that's what we wanted to do is bring everybody away from the bar, turn towards their seats, and come down because the show was starting. And that was a great idea. And Roger really delivered. Thank you very much, Roger. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's Roger Rebanak, Jackson Controls. He's known by many different names, much like Kenny Smyers. At one point in time, he was known as the most exciting man in the controls industry. And I think you'll agree that he's pretty darn exciting still. So again, I echo what you said, Kenny. Special thanks to Roger. He kicked the show off. People had a good time, Kenny. It was Mark Peacock, Kimberly Brown were our MCs, or in this particular case, they were the commissioner and the co-commissioner. They did an absolutely fantastic job. There were some rules changes that didn't go quite as we expected. We had two referees, young guns Brent Burrows and Aaron Gorka, and they were decked out in referees' outfits with whistles and penalty flags. And their goal was to try to keep the crowd a little bit in check. But hey, our crowd, one thing I'll say about our industry is, hey, we don't mess around when it comes to partying, right? So they didn't have
What was the 5-drink penalty? I never heard that one before, but I think everybody liked it.
I think they took it the wrong way. They
said,
okay.
Guys and Johnson Controls, they enjoyed that additional yellow flag there and an opportunity. No, it was a great looking down from the stage, again, there was different, aspects to the show. We had cheerleaders out front, and we tried to dress it up as a football event, so you felt like you were coming into a tailgate party. The show, Mark had his leopard jacket on. He was all Mick
That
Jagger.
was so cool, man.
Kim Brown, very professional, very precise, and it helped us to make sure we stayed on track. Because remember, this was a fast track show. We had 90 minutes, which actually came down to about 78 minutes to run the whole show, and then dealing with some of the faux pas of the audio world, and like Kim and Mark, Mark goes out to the crowd, and that sure quiets people down because he's going to hand them the microphone and ask them, "What do you think?" And they know this is being videoed, so kind of puts people in check. And then when he did that, I got a chance to see the incredible people that were in the show, that were at the show. I mean, the CEOs, CFOs, COOs, this product specialists, product engineers, customer support, the actual contractors that are leading the league, and the setting the pace. The distributors, Kelly, Cochran, Stromquist, DMS Controls, Jackson. Everybody's huddling around in the same mix. So we actually had representatives from the entire HVAC building automation world in right there in that same facility. In other words, sometimes you go to a meeting, it's distributors only or contractors only or a specific brand, vendor only. This was everybody who's somebody that the ControlTrends Awards recognized and identified. And if you were there, you're one of the people that are helping to create this new building automation world. Phil Zito, I mean, just all the
list goes on and on. Lars von der Hagen came over from Switzerland for crying out loud.
And then the guys from Australia, Stevie goes to Limian, and Optergy and Obrix, and then the Polish
G5
Global Control 5. What a push they have going on, and they had a huge boost at HR. I mean, so it was a who's who. It delivered, I think, on its intent, and that is to recognize the heroes and the quiet unsung heroes for the most part, and give them a day of fun, an evening to remember. And like you said, Vlad captured it all. We saw the teaser videos, a knockout, but that's just a teaser. I mean, when you see the 7 minutes of magic, it's going to blow your socks off.
Yeah, it is for sure. And yeah, Kenny, it was a good time. And, it's so nice because so many people came up to us and said, hey, this is the only time of the year we really get to let our hair down with other people that are in the industry. And, and we like to say that, this is the time of year where we compete all year. We put our swords down, we come together, we celebrate each other, we celebrate our industry. And the thing about the industry is, man, it's huge and the potential is so huge. So it's not about fighting with each other. It's really about collectively getting together and figuring out how to make the pie bigger, because our competition is not within our group of people. Our competition is really going to come from outside, from Silicon Valley, the IT world, and that's where we might potentially get bypassed. So,
and never was that more evident. I mean, you're right. You hit the nail on the head. When we did, the carry on after the ControlTrends Awards is the HR show, AHR show, and I'll tell you what, exactly what you said. Wow, technology coming in unbounded from different directions, that you don't expect.
Well, I tell you something too, Ken. I want to give a shout out here. I wish I could give a bunch of them out, but I don't know about you, but what really makes me feel good is so many people up at the AHR show come up and say, hey man, I listened to your show. It's great. Aiden from down under in Australia introduced himself. So Aiden, I want to give you a special shout out. You have no idea how much that meant to me when you came up and said, hey man, listen to your show. We like it. And so we appreciate that. And we're global, baby. We're global.
Yeah, that's one of the most rewarding aspects too. Like you say, it's not like we're celebrities or anything like that, but what it is that people do listen to it, and then they actually make commentaries, about this, that, and the other. We had one guy, said that the blog was interrupted, and that was when we were going through the transition with the website on getting the actual updates. So every time we had a post, it was going to him. So we're still some more work to be done, but I do have a special shout out, and that is to Keith Schoenfeld, our augmented. He helped us out on stage doing the
great job.
the photos, and to all the people waiting. There's a tremendous amount of marketing collateral coming. It's just a mountain of work, and we peel it onion layer by onion layer. And to use Jim Young's phrase, you got to decompress after something like that and collect everything, find it, and then put it in order, and then start releasing it on the internet. So it's a lot of exciting things, a lot of photos coming, and so it's just a
Right. A lot to
whole
come.
lot of stuff. Yeah.
And what we try to do, Kenny, and I'll reach out to our audience because somebody's got to have this figured out, is did try to live stream it. We wanted to get, but and I went through the audio. The audio was terrible. So this is our third or fourth venue, and it's typically the rock and roll clubs like Hard Rock and BB King's, which is the club we were at. And people love those venues because they're very intimate. They can move around, but for some reason, the audio people just can't get the sound right. And Kenny, we pay big bucks to get the best audio people that the club has to offer. We're assured every year that the audio is going to work. We explain the situation that people can't hear, and every year it doesn't work. So if anybody out there knows how to help us with our audio problems, Kenny and I would really, really appreciate it.
After a frank discourse with some people that did offer some of the information that they knew, the speakers are decoration, and they, it looks like they got multi points of sound, and basically they probably have two channels, the stage mic and then the wired mics that we had, and somebody told us that there was more noise out in the crowd than there was on stage, and whoever has the greater decibel input takes over the audio. Stuff like I don't know about, and this was the last time. And I think you're right about the venues. I think a lot of the people bring their own equipment and their own lights, so they know that's not going to work. They know that stuff's antiquated, and there's more of the ambience and some of the collectibles, and it's like a little museum. And there's some really neat memorabilia on these, typically of Hard Rocks and BB Kings, but. The last Universal we were down there in Orlando, that place was rocking. Remember, they had the state of the art
down there. Yeah. So we'll try to get that place next time we're down. But it's like a buddy of mine told me. He said, "Well, my girlfriend and I spent $1,000 a piece per ticket to go see Elton John's last concert in Atlanta." He said, "We couldn't hear anything either. It was just all noise." He said, "I'm sure there were probably some people that could, but anyway, I think everybody had a good time in spite of that. And obviously the people that won the awards knew they were able to come up and get their awards. But just in case, Kenny, I think we should take some time and just go through the categories and the winners, and we'll just get it on record again because people can hear us now.
Well, yeah, that's very good. And we'll go through the basically the order of the run of show. And that was we started out, bringing on Kim, and Mark brought on Kim. Then we brought up our officials. We had Aaron and Brent. And it was a lot of fun. I think, it stayed true to the venue and the football. Basically the construct, the theme was football. So it was a great show. We had the Young Guns come up, and that was presented by Aaron Gorka, Ant Technologies, and Brent Burrows from Entech. And we had Brooke Penny from Nitro Construction, Riley Norman from Honeywell, Riley Castile from Jackson Controls, Beth Wald Siemens, Travis Kreiner from Casto Technical Service, James Dice, engineer and entrepreneur. Now, he was a kind of a wild card. This gentleman's already been through a great deal of building automation and energy savings or whatever, and we met him through Ken St. Clair. And Aaron Gorka said, this guy is an up-and-comer. He's listed as an engineer and entrepreneur, but congratulations to those Young Gun Award winners, and it's exciting. It's to see the young people come in and be able to reverse engineer some of the things they've done already at a young age. Prior to 30 years old, they're already setting benchmarks and leading the way for their organizations.
Wow, absolutely. And speaking of that, Kenny, there was Ken Sinclair had a couple of breakout sessions about recruiting people, and we actually captured a couple of those where they're actually talking about what younger people are looking for and how to work with them. I dare not say how to manage them because they would not tolerate that. You can't manage a young guy. You can inspire them, you can lead them, you can enable them, but you cannot manage them. So we've got a couple of sessions there, which we'll be posting on ControlTrends, and Ken Sinclair will have links to it at automatedbuildings.com. But let's give Ken Sinclair a big shout out, Kenny, because I think he had like 10 or 12 sessions at AHR. Phenomenal sessions that we captured, I think 6 of them. And we'll go from there. But so congratulations to our new group of young guns. And that's Kenny and I's way of sort of encouraging the younger people to come to our industry, which is a great industry. And, why delay gratification and wait until you're old like me and Kenny before somebody recognizes what you did? We're going to give it to you right up front. And,
no, but again, it was it's a pleasant, feeling that, we got depth in our organizations, and the gray hairs that are leaving. We got people coming in to take their place, and they're competent and they're aggressive and they're intelligent and they can do the things that need to be done, but it's with the new technology. And as you said, we used to be always worried about politically correct, staying PC, but now it's socially correct. So if you call somebody, if you manage somebody and it's not really managed, it's a mentor, it's something gentler or a little bit different, but it means the same thing. I think ultimately is you're trying to, get people to get, help them along in their careers, but by the same token, there has to be that mutual benefit. The organization has to get done what it needs to get done.
Right.
So.
And I think they are. And one of the benefits to having, the millennials and the younger folks coming in the industry is we all suffer, they do as well, from something called cognitive bias, which is our beliefs, how we were raised, the values that we were taught. And, what I love about the millennials is it's kind of like, they're completely irreverent when it comes to technology, meaning, there's no holds barred. If there's a better, easier way to do it, better technology, they're going to find it and they're going to do it. And that is, I think, part of the value that they bring to our industry. But
it was such an with Johnson Controls. You and I were at one of the Johnson meetings, and the most interesting story I heard there was that they had 4 generations working together at one time. Johnson spent a whole lot of money to do great in-depth research using a major consultant company to find out, they were spending a lot of money to get great talent into their organization, but for some reason they were leaving after a certain while, and they had to know why. And one of the best examples was that one of the senior folks was walking through one of the work centers, and he saw 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people working on either their iPhones or their smart devices. And he thought that, what the heck's going on here? In my day, if you got caught, you do that on your own private time or your breaks or lunch, but you don't talk to people and text and whatever. And then they find out that these people were using their own, bring your IT to work smart device, because the company's facilities and resources did not have the most current access to the websites, and they were researching using their own stuff. And it just showed how the interpretation by a generational split of that nature was totally not right and misunderstood. And they were actually doing a great service to the company, but they had to use their own tools to do it.
Yeah, it was interesting. And Brad White, SES Consulting, does a lot of work with Ken Sinclair. And Brad, I hate to tell you, you're not a millennial anymore. But he's got this really dynamic company. And so one of the sessions we recorded, I just give you a tidbit. He was basically saying, because how do you attract younger people too? Because again, every industry is competing for these great young minds. And so what Brad said they do is when they do a job description, for example, it's less about the skills and what your particular job is going to be, and more about the mission and the vision. And that's what really tends to attract the younger people. And here was something else that was really interesting with Brad too, is that everybody's paid by the hour. And he says that way they don't, they can take off whatever time they want, right? They have the freedom there. They want to make more money, they can work more hours, and which I thought was really sort of counterintuitive. But again, it's like you have to adjust, I think, to you have to adjust to what the new generation wants. I mean, Ken Sinclair has been on the show and talked about job crafting, where they craft their own jobs and things like that. But dude, can you imagine us back in the day, going into our prospective businesses and going, yeah, I want this, I want to work from home, I want this time off, and I want to craft my job, and no, just put me in charge.
I worked for a family business. I my introduction was truly the cleaning up the office on Saturdays and Sundays, and moving blocks in the warehouse. But I remember getting chastised because I didn't clean the sink clean enough, and things weren't shiny enough.
Right.
And you went empty all the waste baskets, not just the ones that were sitting in. And it was it was a different starting point. And again, but it was very it was challenging and rewarding, because as soon as you were able to handle it, as soon as you thought you could lift bench press 250 pounds, they'd set you down at the table or the bench press bar and let you try it, and then you either crushed your chest or you put it up. But the whole point was that it was a different, raising a different ascension.
Their definition of, if you got out of line, you would say, hey, why can't I do this? They said, well, let me introduce somebody who'll explain this to you. This is my friend, Mr. Fist. He'll explain exactly why you can't do this. But, and Kenny and I are not, by the way, being critical of the new generation at all. I mean, we're in awe of it. And
Absolutely.
but I think it's really important because, like you said, we've got multiple generations now working in this industry, working together. I think it's really important for guys Kenny and my age to understand and appreciate the value and how the millennials and the younger folks want to work with us. And because I think at the end of the day, what I've heard is, man, if they buy into your vision, there's nobody that'll work harder for you.
Right.
Right. So
Well, I know 3 or 4 of the young guns to the day-to-day job, and I tell you what, they're all very impressive. They're all
yeah,
self-motivated, and you don't need to give them any encouragement.
yeah,
The only thing that they probably can't understand is how come it's taken so long, and
right,
why
right.
all these people can't do this and have to be shown to do that. And if somebody didn't spend 2 hours showing everybody how to get on this new project site on or whatever, or use this new feature, they could get a lot more of their own work done.
Right. Well, but let's talk about a couple young guns that we're familiar with. Brent Burrows and Aaron Gorka, the host of Next Generation Innovation. I think it's a great example. I mean, these two guys really buy into, first of all, the industry. Brent's, one of the best systems integrators and, up and coming. Aaron has Ant Technologies, great software technology, grew up in the business. But both these guys believe in the vision that you and I have for Control Trends. And these guys show up on their own accord to help us at the ControlTrends Awards, their own accord, their own dime. Hey, how can we help, guys? And this is an example. If they buy into the vision and do whatever we needed, they were willing to do. So shout out to those guys. And I think it gives Kenny and me some longevity, and I think it also gives us some fresh perspective. So we really
Absolutely.
appreciate you, Brent and Aaron, and you'll be seeing more of them. They've got some more podcasts coming out. Next Generation Innovation, brought to you exclusively on the Control Trends Podcasting Network. How was
Another
that for
side
my
note,
radio voice?
that was very nice, that broadcasting. I love that. But just another background on both those guys. They're both for professional caliber athletes. Brent in baseball and Aaron in hockey, and I think that's just when you see the parallels. We're talking about the NFL and Super Bowl and recognizing superstars and whatever. I think there's a very close analogy that the people that are really successful and rising to the top of our industry are almost like professional athletes. They're driven. They're driven. Everybody gets up at 10, they get up at 8,
Yeah.
run the extra laps, do the miles. And see, that's the important thing to do. I think that's the hatching aspect that you have to find, is how does that the next generation, what is the drivers for them? Not necessarily organizationally, and do you like the window seat, or you like, some kind of gadget or gimmick. They are definitely motivated. And I think the trick for our generation is to, how do you empower them and enable them and get out of the way? So that
Well
requires some
said. Well
communication,
said.
and the
Yeah.
communication skills are what's probably the most challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working on, like I said, we got a great, great video we recorded at AHR with Brad White and the team talking specifically to that. So, but Kenny, after the young guns and Mark, getting a little flirty up here on the stage, being his entertaining stuff, what was the next category?
Well, we'll just run them down. The next one was the Building Automation VAV controller, and there were co-winners, Honeywell Stryker and Kmc Simply VAV. Two
Nice.
stalwarts in the industry. They sell them like toilet paper. The best thing about them is that they do the right price point, and they work, and they just so they go in volume. So congratulations to those two
Congratulations to both
vendors.
them for sure. What was next, Kenny?
Building Automation Plant Equipment Controller of the Year, Honeywell Cyper 50. That kind of knocked everybody's socks off. Honeywell nailed the first two categories, but
right off the bat. It's like, if you're using the football analogy, when we were up on stage, it was like, Honeywell's off to a quick lead, right? I mean, they came out of the gate passing, first.
Well, but again, that's a very interesting, because those are probably two of the most important categories, because that means that's going into the buildings that's controlling the BAS systems, and for a lot of the people in the Honeywell world, that was very, very exciting.
Well, can you talk a bit about the Cyper 50? Because, one of the other sessions that we recorded, which is, the next generation HVAC controls, pretty much the group concluded that it's all going to be IP controls.
Absolutely.
That the days of the network on the BATnet or whatever are probably numbered. What's your take on the Cyper 50, and is Honeywell's one of their entries into the IP controls?
Well, thank you for that lead in, because that was two of the things you hit too, and then we have to go back to the breakout session with Tree Sullivan and the women in the industry. But we got to see a breakout where they really tuned in. Scott Cochran tuned in with ESI, Brian Oswald, and another gentleman, I don't have his name readily available, but they talked facts and figures with IP controllers. in how it took the first couple jobs were a little bit rough and unruly, but once they learned and got familiar with the requirements and developed some proficiencies there, they said they were bringing these IP controller jobs at 20% under the MST world. And so that was kind of spooky that somebody could really say that metric is available and they wanted to share it with them. It was a 20-story building. But yes, so the Cyper 50 delivers, again, its origins were the Eagle AX, came from Germany. It had been tried and proven in the European environment, then came and was relabeled here as a Cyper controller. And of course, controller CIP, controller IP. So it was just, it lent itself very well to the existing Honeywell portfolio. But yeah, this definitely going to take our industry similar to what you said about the communication protocol. LAN was very much favored, and it was driven basically by the Army Corps of Engineers, and it yielded a lot of its market to BACnet over time. And BACnet was basically the specified standard of GSA. I'm sorry, GSA, and then eventually BACnet started to take over 60%. 70, 80. So the BACnet, I think, too, was the BACnet committee was able to recover quickly and keep up with the trends, and and BACnet's invested a whole lot of time and energy into the cybersecurity issues with BACnet. So the IP controllers dominate now in all the conversations, and we'll probably see it dominate in the specifications in the near future.
Well, I think it bodes well to it, and hopefully our friends at BACnet, Andy McMillan and the crowd, will survive this. But it just goes to the fact that one of the trends we have in our industry right now is you can be bypassed in a New York heartbeat, so to speak. And so congratulations again to Honeywell and IP. And like I said, very interesting study. We'll be posting that too, that breakout session where the gentleman was from Longwood Controls, I think. But yeah, both him and Brian Oswald were talking about that when they do these installations, they go IP, their time is reduced by 20% because they have to run special cabling, special commissioning, all kinds of stuff like that. And so I think that's a trend we're going to see. IP is here to stay.
In fact, at one breakout, I had heard something I hadn't heard before, and I'd be curious what the ControlTrends community thinks about the new pool is going to have fiber optics and Cat 6 and the same pool, so that you're really bringing a robust network online when you've got fiber optics and IP. Shoot.
So here's something I worry about a little bit. Are we now opening ourselves up with this IP to the controls people in our industry being bypassed by IT people that are already running routers and stuff like that in the building?
Well, I think again in these breakouts, Scott and some of the other people, he used it to the Ninja. His example was that the Ninja is able to do different things under different circumstances, have different tools and different knowledges. I think that the people that are evolving alongside of this and understanding what managed services are all about are going to do very well. They're not just going to survive; they're going to flourish, because these new IT providers are going to need partners because at the end of the day, you still need that technician that has the ability to make equipment run and work and sustain it. And then all the magic happens with the data, with the the diagnostics and the maintenance and some of the things that are coming on the artificial intelligence, where the pump says to the network, I'm sick. I'm supposed to be pushing this much, this many GPM, and my impeller is either wobbling or whatever, but it can pronounce its own anomalies. It can understand it's not functioning. So when you start seeing that stuff, you're going to see it come on. The ability to get that data on the network is the thing. So that the controls people just have to start getting comfortable knowing what the what the IT world's all about, the hubs, the routers, the switches, unmanaged and so forth. And I think going back to the IP controllers, that you're going to see the control vendors driving that too. You're not going to have a choice. Yeah. You are going to start use their favorite controllers, which will be IP.
Cool. All right. Well, so after the first two series, we have Honeywell. First three series, if you count the young guns, Honeywell has 3 scores. KMC has 1. And what was our next category, Kenny?
The HVAC Valve Solution of the Year, Blemo Energy Valve. That really was no surprise. That's like the wrestlers going into the heavyweight wrestler going up against the 118 division. I mean, it's just they have so much momentum, and they were really excited too. But you could see the pride they have in their engineering, and it's just tangible that they are going to keep setting new standards for pushing water through a building the most absolutely efficient way and minimize
Right.
things.
Well, and I think that for our listeners who might not know, the Belimo energy valve is a very unique valve. It's a combination of a pressure independent control valve with 2 temperature sensors, one on the supply, one on the return, and a flow meter. So basically you're able to control your flow to a coil, for example, off of delta T and be very, very precise with it. It eliminates a ton of excess energy that's normally used. It allows for better comfort through the building because you get spot on. Your coils get exactly what they're designed for. You have no excess. So if you're designing using the Belimo energy valve, you're able to have a smaller chiller, smaller pumps. So again, congratulations to our friends from Belimo for that. That is awesome. Belimo is on the board. Kenny, what do we have next?
Well, that being said, real quick, is that you got they set the standard now, and like direct coupled actuators, once they proved the concept so well, you have Siemens coming up with their new PICV valves, and you also have Johnson who put together a very, very strong pressure independent control valve series. They're VP 140s.
Right. Well, there's pressure independent, which is great. But then again, what the Belimo energy valve does is you add the 2 temperature sensors. So in a sense, talking about
Oh, you're
collecting
right.
data,
Yeah.
collecting data, you essentially have a BTU meter right there if you want to,
And they're being specified, and they do. And then it also does glycol measurement, and it's pretty slick. Peripheral vendor of the year with co-winners Contemporary Controls and ACI. Again, 2 amazing companies. They don't have the huge prominence, but they are globally recognized and very successful.
Yeah, so congratulations to George Thomas and his team. George is a ControlTrends Hall of Famer, been around for a while. Kenny, one of my favorite people. You talk about Brian Oswell's dad, Paul Oswell, had a saying about the gray hairs. You get the tribal knowledge leaving the building, right? And so what I would encourage some of our younger people coming into the industry is guys like George Thomas. I mean, when he's gone, when he leaves, there's so much information that's going to walk out the door with him. So when you get a guy like George Thomas, you want to spend time with him as much as you can because he knows stuff. He helped design stuff, and guys like him are priceless. And then ACI, great company. How many times, Kenny, have they been voted like Wisconsin Best Company of the Year and stuff like that? So good folks there as well. And now we have ACI and Contemporary Controls on the board. What was up next, Kenny?
All right, the innovative wireless product or solution of the year went to Distech Controls.
Distech's on the board, and they were celebrating. If you've ever been to a ControlTrends Awards, Distech knows how to celebrate. I can see in my head right now, Ryan Sin standing up going, "You say Distech," and everybody goes, "I say Controls," right?
Yeah, that was fun. And again, it was so interesting because you can't control, what's going to go on, but they all wore the same shirts, 25 to celebrate their 25 years in business. And, just across the board, every department they have, they got somebody. It's a real champion. Lauren Scott, marketing, Martin Villanueva as the CEO, Scott Hamilton as vice president. They just got one superstar after another, and that's it's no surprise that they're kicking it.
Yeah, and I think the thing with those guys too, that's a company to study because you pointed out, Kenny, and we had a chance to talk to Martin some at their big 25-year party that we attended on Tuesday night. That it's more than just the product. They have a great product, but they do something where they really get their people motivated. I mean, people really believe in that vision. You talk to anybody at Distech, and they're so on board with the vision. And that is an intangible that if you get that right, your team can move mountains, and that becomes a huge differentiator. So maybe next time we get Martin on, he'll share on the show, he'll share some of that secret sauce with us.
Right, and we'll see later on in the categories that their success was continued because, again, for the company to fare well, using the football analogy, the successful offense and defense coaching, play calling, diagnosing defensive, breakdowns, strengths, weaknesses, it all comes down to the leadership. And when you have great leaders on all sides of a football field, offense and defense, who spend nothing but 100% energy dedicated to solving and fixing things and selecting things and moving and grooving with products and solutions, it comes out to be a very successful. You win a Super Bowl or two here and there. Yeah.
There you go.
By the way, congratulations to Kansas City.
Kenny predicted that. He also predicted the Baltimore Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl, and he predicted the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl, and he's predicted a
You're
lot.
making fun of me now. Well, okay, look, I got one of them right in the Super Bowl and then picked the
You
wrong one.
did.
I picked Baltimore and San Francisco, and I spent a lot of time thinking of it. Lamar Jackson was the hottest ticket in the NFL, VP. The guy was unstoppable, and he has a bad game against Tennessee, and it's all she wrote. So it's not
That's
there.
all she wrote, buddy.
And in San Francisco looked pretty good at the beginning. You have to admit they showed that they had a lot of they had the right to be there. And then Kansas City Mahomes they wear them out, just win. That's all they do is win.
Well, they did. So all right. So Kansas City wins. Who's our next winner at the Control Trends Award, young man?
Well, we need that interlude because we're going to go right back to Impact Solutions of the Year and Distech Controls again. So
Distech again.
Yeah, we wouldn't have put some margin in there, or
Right there you go.
All right. So yeah, well,
and what was Impact Solution of the Year? What did they win with?
The Impact Solution of the Year. Oh, by the way, we have an apology to the presenters for the Solution of the Year. Alper Olsmesler from BASSG and Jim Heyman from CG&A. Our audio might have been one of the yeah, that was a casualty. Good word. Yeah. So the Impact Solution of the Year was the Distech Controls My Personified Workplace. And this is, again, technology at the forefront. This is what's going to push everybody else to really and truly create that unified integration and give the tenant, the user, the occupier of that space. And remember, we spend 90% of our lives inside of one building or another to give that person the most complete relationship, so not just controlling the lights and the temperature, but more so this thing is pretty special. It's My Personified Workplace. In fact, it's coming, it keeps getting improved because it's app friendly and the tenants can put their apps into it and then provide menu selection for lunch or whatever. I mean, it's just pretty special stuff. I think
it gets back to, if you're in the real estate business or you're a company and you're looking for space to lease, and you've got to attract younger talent in, you want to make sure you have some sort of a system in there that younger people are going to resonate with. And what My Personified does so well is, one of the characteristics of the younger worker is they want to have the same sort of experience at work with technology that they do at home. So, the apps and be able to interact with the system, as Ken Sinclair would say, a bit of a symbiotic or emotional relationship with the building. And Distech, I think, has understood this and has done a great job with this product of delivering that, which is one of the reasons I think it's getting specified so much.
Well said. I agree wholeheartedly. Which drives us to the next category, which is the race to the small space solution of the year. And I'll tell you what, that is, again, one of our favorite categories, because I think that's where you really see some extraordinary entries. You had Proton Optergy, Steve Gazilimian and his team are coming out with the 864 controller and LinkSpring Genesis Edge 534, EasyIO FS32, Siemens RDS 120 thermostat that also has a BACnet feature, Johnson Controls Verisys, KMC Commander, Honeywell LCVS Connect, Niagara Edge 10, and Schneider Electric Smart Structure Light. I mean, that is a whole lot of stuff.
Well, it is. And before you announce the winner, Kenny, let's set it up a little bit, because you coined the phrase "the race to the small space."
I think we co-coined that. I think
we co-coined it. Well, you just came up with co-coin, so that's the phrase you just co-coined. Kenny and I co-coined the phrase "race to the small space," and basically what it is, Kenny and I noticed a trend probably 6 or 7 years ago where the technology. It used to be too expensive for most buildings, right? But it became scalable down where it became more affordable. And all these companies, many of them, and the ones we just mentioned that made the finals, really targeted this market that, I think last time Kenny checked, it was 80% of the buildings don't have anything in it other than a thermostat. So that market is huge. And the race to the small space was basically these companies scaling down the price and giving the same functionality in such a way that it would work in a smaller building. So this category, the race to the small space, has been one Kenny and I have had since we spotted that trend. And there have been some great winners in the past. But Kenny, who won this year?
This year, Eric, we had a co-winner, Johnson Controls Verisys and KMC Commander.
Well, there you go.
And to your point, it was DOE. We were really getting involved with DOE. We're getting posts, and they asked us, if we could continue to repurpose their stuff on our show and our ControlTrends website, because they knew that we were in the business of helping to promote what was important, and that was, there's 80% of the buildings at one time, probably maybe 75 now if we're lucky, but the co-opetition was that, there's so much more market. Instead of pointing your cannons at somebody else's share of the market, using that mercantile thing with the pie, in order to increase your share of the pie, you have to take somebody else's share, and that's just wrong stuff. You need to go out and tell all these business owners out there that you've got technology. It hasn't been dumbed down. What happens was that the technology has become so prolific, and so many different people are providing measures of that technology. You don't need all the bells and whistles. Maybe you don't need that fabulous graphic package, but you need something more than thermostats that people leave the office at 80 degrees, and then come back in the morning and the thermostat never adjusted to the unoccupied period. That's a frightening misuse of energy. And so putting all these imperatives together, all of a sudden vendors started to come out with some really serious solutions that were affordable. And then we went after the opportunity to bring and encourage more contractors to take a look at this simplified system, so that you could put this in and support it, make money on it. The owner wins, saves energy and whatever, and then the government has some relief on that grid issues, and making a smart grid feasible and possible and doable. And so it's a mutual win for everybody involved.
Very cool. And our winner this year was Johnson Verisis, which is just a really, really cool product. That comes embedded on most of the York equipment now, I think. So you can just pull that app out, and it's more of a configuration thing. And then, of course, the KMC Commander, Richard Newberry and the team at KMC, man, they hit this Commander a while back. Again, the price point on this is such that a lot of contractors just go in and they will give it away with a service contract, right? Because it allows their cost to serve to go down. Plus, it allows them to provide much better customer support and service, and it saves energy in the buildings, which at the end of the day, if you think about it, that's one of the key factors now. And with some of these cities, and Ken Sinclair did another session at AHR about the climate emergency and the effects it's having on business. Whether you buy into that or not, the reality is enough people are buying into it that it's going to create a lot of great opportunity for the savvy integrators that can talk energy. So energy's back in vogue again, right? I mean, it kind of went in, it kind of went out, and now I think it's back in with this emerging climate emergency that Ken Sinclair is talking about. So both those products do a great job, plus all the other products that we mentioned, Proton Optergy, Steve G, and those guys. I mean, remember the first time we had Stevie G on the show, Kenny? He is, ex-Allerton guy. He's been around the industry for a long time. The first words out of Stevie G's mouth were, "We are going to disrupt on price." So he's all about giving you as much as you can possibly handle for as cheaply as possible. So lots of trends coming about, but the race to the small space, Kenny, is going to be more like a marathon to the small space, because every year it's going to get better and better. That's not going away anytime soon.
Right. And I just want to make sure I got that controller. The Proton Optergy controller is the P864, and we got a chance to talk with Steve offline about some of the enormous technology they've added to that. It's a powerful control. Yeah, Eric, you said so many good things there that are we in trouble with our time here? Because I mean, the service that you were talking about with Commander.
When have we ever cared about time, man?
Okay, well, good. That's what I like to hear, because I'm going to get some hot gas out here. The thing that I heard 2 or 3 or 4 times at the show that really is resonating is that the users want the service. They want it now. They don't really have problems with being better citizens and stewards of the energy that they consume. And by all means, the equipment's still, I mean, lights are important, but HVAC is still just sucking the most energy out of a building. It needs controlled. Okay, so they can't get $1 million grant, loan, whatever they need to do it at once, but they're asking people to come up with selling the service on a monthly basis and subscription or renew. Basically, they'll pay you $5,000-$10,000 a month. They can afford that, but they can't afford the $500,000 or $1 million all at once type thing. So I was listening to these conversations, and I thought, man, if you could really swing this, people would sell the equipment, put the equipment in free, not free, put the equipment in with the understanding they're going to have a 15, 12-year, whatever subscription of services.
Right. Well, I've thought about it too, like, going into a building and leasing them the valves and actuators, right?
Right.
and do
I
it
would
that way.
imagine that when you talk about changing industry, evolving and
Mhm.
disruption, I mean, nothing would be more disruptive than that.
Well, it would be, and of course, the cost of money is so cheap now that we probably shouldn't say that because Richard Campbell and Kelly's probably going to do it now. But we'll get to him more in a minute. But yeah, so good stuff there, Kenny Smyers. Let's move on before we give away too many secrets.
Okay, well, the next one up was a really exciting one too, and it had a global, local and global impact. IoT product or solution of the year co-winners were Niagara Edge 10 and Global 5 with their hybrid IoT controller, ISMA-V-MAC36NL. And the reason why I tried to articulate that and not make any mistakes is because Katarzyna and GC5 will send us an email and say, we said it wrong again. And we want every one of those letters and alphanumeric model numbers being pronounced correctly in a correct order. So we apologize to Global Controls 5 for the miscues we had, but extraordinary companies, Tritium, Niagara Edge 10, Global Control 5, hybrid IoT controller, the ISMA, and you'll have to read the
Yeah,
post
no,
to get
no,
the
no.
rest of it.
Well, we love it, and is it okay to call them GC5?
Yeah, that's their
Okay,
logos,
think about
GC5,
GC
but
because I know that Chip Cumming and Control Co speak very highly of that product. They've done well with them. They're a global presence, and of course Niagara 4 they're the great enabler. Okay, I mean, meaning that if you look at all the companies that use their product, they're the great enabler. So it's good to see both of them get recognized. Global 5, GC5 is on the board, and so is Niagara. What was up next, young Kenneth?
well, you know what? I'm glad we're going at a good pace here, but we have to understand that we were using the football analogy, and we have just ended the first quarter, and we had Project Haystack, and we had John Petsy came up and talked about Project Haystack and the Haystack Award that they give out every year. And while you talk about that a little bit, I'm going to find out the gentleman's name that won it.
Yeah, it was great. Well, and again, Haystack is sponsors, so we appreciate those, as well as GC5, by the way. Thank you, and Niagara. So those were 3 sponsors there. Yeah, Haystack is a tagging convention that is just allows data to go much more seamlessly through systems. And what's cool about Haystack, Kenny, is it's a group effort. Nobody owns it. It's truly sort of open source, and it's amazing how it's taken off. You and I covered the first Haystack conference in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and to see the velocity at which Haystack is grown, matured, and been accepted is pretty outstanding. So they do a Haystack recognition every year, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard the gentleman that got the award speak about Haystack in another one of the breakout sessions. So, but go ahead, hit him up. It's Jim somebody, right? From Fit.
I was building fit, so
Building Fit, yeah.
building FIT, and Brad Rutledge was really excited. In fact, we owe him a photo, and again, Brad, we're going to get up to you or catch up to you. But Brad T. Rutledge is the Vice President of Marketing for Building Fit, and the actual recipient was Jay Heron. And we do have a picture or a nice capture, social media, or I'm sorry, marketing collateral photo capture of Jay receiving the award. And what about John Petsy, huh? See, that guy has just got so much, industry knowledge and cloud. It's so much fun to watch him talk about how he loves Project Haystack, and he's just generously given his time and energy to it. But again, that's one of those things where it's mutually rewarding. The more Haystack goes in, the more tagging gets done, and the more, if it's adopted at a more accelerated rate, then a lot of third-party applications can get into the mix quicker. And I don't know. It's just it seems to be getting bigger. They got 2 more people came in as members of Project Haystack, but again, that's another post. And we
Well, again, I think John Petsy, if you sort of using the analogy, he's one of the elders in the Smart Building Controls tribe, right? He's been around. He was president of Tritium at one point in time. A lot of knowledge. I think he's at a phase in his career where he's going to be known for so many great things, but I think part of his legacy is going to be his contribution to Haystack, as well as Mark Peacock and others. So congratulations to all those guys. And Kenny, we got to move. The clock's working against us a little bit. We're gonna have to
I know.
free up offense a little bit.
Okay, Smart Building Automation Control System of the Year, and the winner is Tritium Niagara 4.
Oh, there you go. The great enabler. So happy for those guys and girls. So good job, Tritium. What was up next, Jen Kenneth?
We just want to mention real quick that Tritium has their summit coming up. Please look at the posts in May out in San Diego. And Therese Sullivan, we'll be working with her at the summit. So we're looking forward to it.
Kenny and I will be there.
Next up, Eric, we had smart thermostat or smart room controller of the year co-winners, Loytech LStat room control unit and the KMC FlexStat. So both, again, Loytech, Daryl Clausen and his team, they had a great booth at AHR with the Delta Electronics and Delta Controls and Loytech. What a huge capture of vendor power there. They've got the manufacturing capability, Delta Electronics, the control knowledge and system information, building automation system from the Delta Controls, and then you got Loytech, the folks from Austria that can really bring in the last 100 yards or whatever all the way up to the building enterprise. I mean, these guys really got a hell of a team.
Well, they do, and great products too. So happy for both of them.
And of course, FlexStat, again, ties directly with the Simply VAV and all the other good stuff, Commander, so that hats off again to KMC. Next one, Eric, I'm going to give you a chance to tell it because I believe this was the brainchild of this new concept as we keep track with the trends, and we've recognized how important, obviously, the vendors are and all their people and all the solutions they do. And then we recognize some of the contractors in the world, the global players that are master systems integrators and have had extraordinary success. ESI, CB Richard ESI, and just on and on. And we'll talk about two really important master systems integrators at the end of the categories, Alberio and Chesapeake Controls. But this was a new category of great importance because these are the people that are basically our brethren, and it was the distributor of the year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kelly won that. It was
congratulations to Kelly. They do a great job. But yeah, if you think about there's a link, we started with the manufacturers with their products, their people, and their companies. We added the consulting engineers in as a category, and then we added the smart systems building integrators in as master systems integrators as a category. And we believe, self-servingly so to a degree, that distributors are a very, very important part of the whole supply chain. So that's why we created this category, to recognize the great distributors and put a spotlight on them and the value that they bring. Right. And, Kelly certainly does bring a lot of value. Now, let it be known again that Kenny and I recused ourselves of this category. So although we had more votes than everybody combined between the two of us, we didn't count them. You guys kept writing us in, and we just kept ignoring them. But thank you for that. We appreciate the validation. But in all seriousness, congratulations to Kelly.
Just want to summarize. Just go over real quick. Nuco, RSD, Jackson Control, M&M Controls, Cochrane Supply and Engineering, Control Co, and Kelly were the finalists. And again, if you add those numbers up and talk about, the firepower of those companies, you're in a very large pie, a piece of pie for the market. In other words, these people bring it. These are the best, some of the best, distributors in the country. And next year, I'm sure we're going to see even more activity and energy, in that category.
Well, they do. And Kenny, here's a Trivial Pursuits question for you. What is the number one function that distributors perform?
Well, that would have to be a multiple choice, and it would be all the above, because the distributor provides local expertise and product availability, funding.
Boom.
Funding.
Yeah, we're banks. We're mini banks. That's what we are. We're mini banks offering credit. But all right, brother, let's move on from there, brother.
Okay, ControlTrends Impact Person of the Year, Therese Sullivan, Tritium. Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations, Therese. Kenny and I knew Therese back when she was at buildingcontext.me. She came from Silicon Valley. She's became interested in our industry, created this amazing blog. And it's just so great to see Therese. She's brilliant. She's knows a lot. Tritium had the foresight to put her on, and she has just done a marvelous job. She brings perspective. She brings insight. She brings intelligence. And you know what? She didn't take herself too seriously. You can sit down and have fun with her and have a great conversation. And you'll find that out if you go to the Tritium Niagara Summit in San Diego, because Therese is spearheading that. So congratulations, Therese. We couldn't be happier for you.
Yes, indeed.
Kenny gave an indeed before the end of the show. That's pretty amazing.
Well,
like it.
you know, you got me all fired up there. I'm into this. Now we've just entered the third quarter. Okay, that means halftime's over, and we're looking at another set of 15 minutes, and we got to get a lot done here. And the next category up is the best technical support person, large manufacturers. There were co-winners: Paula Fales from Honeywell and Mike Edinger from Siemens. And again, the list of people in this technical support finalist category have to be recognized because, again, these are all winners. Robert Lastiger, Distech Controls, James Johnson, Tritium. He's already won that once before, by the way.
Twice before.
Okay, and I got to meet James. He is brilliant, and again, he's a lot of fun. You know, he told me, never mind. No, I'll tell you off to the side, but he's still very much involved in doing a lot of heavy lifting for the Tritium folks, and a lot of people depend on James for help. Mike Hogberg from JCI, Kevin Williamson from Tritium, Jeff Lehman from Honeywell, and Paul Ray from KMC were finalists. And congratulations to Paula Fales and Mike Edinger.
Yeah, congratulations to them, and congratulations to all of them, because again, tech support is not the easy job, but they can make or break your company. So congratulations to Paula. And
right, Eric. And next up we have is the best technical support person for small manufacturer, Brian Klein, EasyIO. And up to this point, everybody's wondering where's EasyIO, because they had such domination in the years gone by with the wireless FW series that they introduced in the FT04, the FW1428, and then the FS controller, and you coined the F32 Plus Beast from the East.
Yep.
And it just showed how the trend now is that EasyIO has done so many great things with products that something big happened to them, but the people that drove some of that success are now going to be recognized in turn. And the first one would be Brian Klein, EasyIO Training Support Person of the Year. Brian is he's a marvelous guy. I know him personally. He's one of the certified Tritium field trainers. He can go out and certify people on Niagara, and he's done a lot in a short period of time for EasyIO. And I think some of that has to do with that synergy and that multiple, that critical mass that leads to success that ultimately leads to Johnson Controls buying out EasyIO.
very, very cool. All right. Congratulations, Brian. What do we have up next, Kenny?
Best technical support company, large manufacturer, Belimo.
Oh, man. Those guys just do a great job. Enough said. I mean, if you've ever dealt with Belimo, you know why they got the nod there. Congratulations. My guess is best tech support company, small manufacturers next, huh?
Yeah, but you said something to Lars van der Hagen. He said of all these things that they win in the awards, that recognizing them as the best technical support person by the ControlTrends Awards in the community, he said that's the thing that makes his heart pound. Yeah.
That's
okay.
A lot.
Best technical support, small company, manufacturer, Link Spring. So congratulations.
Mark Peacock and Terry Swope and Aaron DeFries. Congratulations. They do a marvelous job with that as well. So, all right, Kenny Smyers, hurry up offense. What was next?
The PID Award, co-winners, Martin Villanueva, Distech Controls, and Johan Shakolrad from EasyIO.
Well, passion, integrity, dedication. The first winner, that was Roger Ebenak back in the day, the first ControlTrends Awards. But that's a special award, Kenny. That really acknowledges people that just are into it. And, man, they don't give up. And Martin and Johan, two great representatives. Martin runs Distech. Johan runs EasyIO Europe. And both those guys, man, they ever get on the same team, game over, right?
Yeah, spectacular leadership, vision, foresight. And again, congratulations to all the nominees. If you want me to read them, there's a group of them. And as you said,
they can go to the website for that.
So next up, Eric, we have the ControlTrends Executive of the Year, small manufacturer. And again, the bingos are happening here. The woman that won this has been amazingly successful on many fronts, many companies. Gina Elliott from EasyIO.
Congratulations, Gina. Well deserved. We've known Gina for a while, and I tell you what, man, she's good people. She's smart people. She's talented people. And I guess I should get my grammar correct. But anyway, you get the point. We can be happy for Gina. Congratulations.
Alrighty, next up, ControlTrends Executive of the Year, large manufacturer. Again, co-winners, Scott Hamilton, Distech Controls, and Chris Eichmann from Johnson Controls.
Well, there we go. Chris has won it before. He has moved way up the chain at Johnson. But, man, the community has not forgotten you, Chris, as evidenced by the fact you got all those votes. And then Scott Hamilton, man, one of my favorite people, dude. I like him. He came on the show about a month ago. Super nice guy, very bright, very focused, and he works with Martin filling the news. So what do you expect? Distech, man, they hire good talent too.
Yep, Scott, heck of a karaoke guy too, and he speaks softly but carries a big stick. He's a great leader. But we have to go real quick over the other nominees here. Was Mike Keller from Honeywell, John Karsmarzik from Siemens, Ken Schmidt from Tritium, Dave Moline from Train, Richard Newberry from KMC Controls, John Nichols, Delta Controls. Congratulations to all these nominees. They're all winners. Unfortunately, only
unfortunately we can't afford trophies for everybody. But hey, if our sponsors pay more next year, maybe we will. Maybe we'll go completely millennial and everybody gets a trophy. But who knows?
Participation awards. No, you can't do that. You promised that would never happen. Okay.
All right.
All right. So, in all seriousness, another very important control trend, having the ability to be flexible and adopt new trends and discard some of the older trends. We had the Master Systems Integrator or Distributor Executive of the Year, Scott Cochran from Cochran Supply and Engineering. Congratulations to Scott.
Yeah.
Again, he's a trailblazer. He's been ahead of our industry, setting the pace, going in different directions, and fortunately, as distributors, he opens up a path wide enough for others to follow. So,
Yeah,
congratulations to Scott Cochran.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Eric. So now we go to Control Trends Vendor of the Year. These are the big important winners for many of the vendors. This is being, towards the end of the show, bated breath, and whoever wins these really feels like they had a successful year. So the Control Trends Vendor of the Year, large manufacturers, co-winners, Johnson Controls and Siemens.
Two of the biggest companies on the planet, right? Rocking and rolling. And congratulations to both of them, both doing an outstanding job. And again, I think if you look at the major manufacturers, they've all won at one point in time the vendor of the year, but Johnson with their acquisitions and the stuff that they're doing, Siemens with the way they're integrating more of their product portfolio in North America. No surprise to me, Kenny. Congratulations to both of them.
Right. And again, Siemens, the acquisition of J2 Innovations, of Comfy, of Enlightened. I mean, they're obviously on the move, and really they feel like they've got to take a leadership role in the adoption of the new technologies and deploying it. That's the tough part, is deploying it. All right, Eric. So as your premonition, your intuition, what comes after the large manufacturer of the year?
I'm guessing the larger manufacturer or the small? The small. I'm guessing the small.
I go with the small. That's your final answer, and that's a correct answer.
Cool.
Yep. You got functional devices and contemporary controls.
Well, there you go. Angie Jarvis and the team at Functional Devices. I mean, anybody that works in the field know what a great job this company does with the relay in a box and all the other peripheral devices.
Oh, sure.
And of course, we've already mentioned George Thomas and his team at Contemporary Controls. And congratulations to both of them. Both do an outstanding job.
All right, Eric, we have 2 minutes left, and we've got 3 categories. So again, we will continue our hurry up offense. We have the Control Trends Systems Integrator of the Year, co-winners, Alberio Energy out of New Jersey, Paul Zarwin and his team, and Chesapeake Controls out of Virginia. Congratulations to Rick and Larry Evans.
Well, very, very much congratulations to them. And again, that category, oh my gosh, so many integrators showed up on the nomination ballot. It's quite an accomplishment because there's so many great integrators out there. So we look forward to meeting more of you guys next year. And one of the ingredients that tends to work, just so you know, is come on our show between now and next year, and you'll probably get some boost in voting.
We want to give a special shout outs to Lisa Woods from Realcomm, Ibicon, and Eugene Mazzo from Acuity Brands. They were the co-presenters at for the large and small manufacturers, and what 2 champions of the industry. Eugene Mazzo, always great to see him, always electric, yeah. And Lisa Woods, just an amazing person, and does a wonderful job for Realcomm.
All that's true, but then again, I tell you what, they are like the best looking 2 people in our industry. Chris Eichmann, I'm sorry I said that, but it's true. If you look at Eugene Mazzo, always sharp dressed, and Lisa Wood, I mean, that was look like a fashion shoot up here. If I had to have a wedding cake and I had to have models for a wedding cake, it'd be Lisa Woods and Eugene Mazzo. They are really good looking people. So that's my politically incorrect diatribe for this show. Speaking of that, Kenny, you remember that when we were out in Realcomm Ibicon out in the field in that interview for Jim Young and those guys, and remember that robot? And I was touching the robot and it told me I was being inappropriate. It was making goo-goo eyes at you. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what's you gotta keep that under control, Eric. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why we
Keep it in
enrolled you
check,
in.
huh?
Well, that's why we paid that money to get you in the sensitivity classes, and you've done
How's it
very
work
well
for
so
me
far.
so far? So far, so good.
I think,
Okay, good.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
And
right, brother.
it's a dangerous category here, so just give you a heads up. ControlTrends Woman of the Year winners. There was an exciting opportunity to recognize 3 of the top women finalists, and they were Lisa Hickey from Belimo, Donna Hamilton from Siemens, and Nicole Conklin from Cochrane Supply.
It's just all phenomenal. I mean, the whole list of finalists, which we had more got nominated because it was so close, so we can't go through them, but they'll be on the website. But those 3 right there, oh my goodness! I mean, you take those 3 and put them with the team, and if they ever got on the same team, it'd be game over again. But
Well, and then we had that breakout with Tree Sullivan, and it was one of the Ken St. Clair Automated Buildings sponsored what breakouts, but we'll probably have a post on that. But that had 3 incredible women: Monica from Optigo, and Tree Sullivan from Tritium, and Aaron DeFrays from
Link
Linkspring,
Spring, yep.
and trying to think of the other one. Doggone it. But we'll have a post on it. But it was an amazing insight to the world, according to women in our industry, and how they had some journey women from 40 years ago there that gave their experience in 20 years. And now it's an industry that's being supported tremendously by women, and the future looks just awesome. And part of the problem we're having with getting enough solid people into our industry is because we've probably put up in directly or indirect barriers for women to look at our industry seriously and consider it a professional career path for them. So I think we're seeing some of those barriers go away.
Now I videoed that session too, Kenny, but unfortunately the cable that was going in for the audio got damaged somehow, and so it's spotty. So I've got to go through and see what I can salvage. But whereas the other sessions, we got the whole sessions, I'm not sure. I've got to try to work with that. But it was a marvelous session led by the Control Trends Impact Person of the Year, Therese Sullivan. No surprise there.
Eric, we're coming into the last category. It's been an amazing opportunity to run through the Control Trends winners, the finalists, and the winners. And then again, Progressive Consulting Engineer of the Year. And this is the engineering company or person that has demonstrated industry leadership in advancing the smart building concept. So there were co-winners, and one was from North America, Craig Payne from Intelligent Buildings. And I'm going to give you that name for the international winner.
I'm not looking at it. I don't know.
You wouldn't try it anyhow. It's Arkaduza Jez from J Control Poland.
Arkaduza, congratulations, and come on our show so you can teach Kenny how to pronounce your name.
I'll tell you, those guys have no trouble speaking our language. I apologize. I'm tripping over, but and I lived in Germany 9 years, and I'm fluent in German. But the once you go past, say, East Germany, so you'd have Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. All of a sudden, that language is so hard for me to grapple with.
I'm just impressed that you speak more than one language, because I have trouble with English, but that's just me, brother. All right, man. And then we had the P-Talk Award, Mark P-Talk.
Right.
Who did Mark put in this year?
The P-Talk Award went to Chris Lane from Johnson Controls, and he erupted with a violent, ferocious celebration. He was so happy, and it was fun to see. And I'll tell you what, that's a great capture. He's got the trophy. He repeated Roger Rebenek's like Heisman. Remember when Roger got the first one in 2012? He did like the Roger Rebenek Heisman, with the
awesome. That's awesome. Well, and just so you know, the P-Talk Award is an award that Mark P-Talk picks out. Mark has helped us at Control Trends almost right off the bat. He reached out to us and helped us, and in that spirit, we noticed that Mark had certain characteristics where he was a fierce competitor, but at the same time, he was a gentleman. At the same time, he thought bigger than just his company. He thought about making the pie bigger. He was always there with a helping hand for people that needed it. And so we gave Mark the P-Talk Award at our very first Control Trends Award show, and then also gave Mark the ability to create the P-Talk Award and give it out every year. So it's to me, it's one of the most important awards. It's really indicative of people that were able to think bigger than just themselves or their companies. And Chris Lane, we've known Chris since day one, man, one of the unsung heroes, hard worker, great guy. So Chris, we're very, very happy for you. Mark, good pick. Very good pick.
Yeah, and Mark he had shared offline that there were so many qualified people that it was a fun way to recognize another person, another
Yeah.
category. And Mark goes through some painstaking, deliberations to find out who's going to win. But yeah, Chris Lane's a lot of fun. And if you look back at the old Control Trends episodes, Control Talk now is going to about the 50, 60 range.
Yeah.
So that's about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Chris Lane was one of our continued supporters, and that was back when he was a heavy tech, and just did a great job. And then the final category, or the very touching thing. Congratulations to you, and thank you for that awesome video you put together for one of our recipients. But the ones that we brought to the stage that were the most fun, of course.
Well, this is
Mark
for the Hall of
Peacock.
Fame. Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
Okay, so Kenny and I inducted 4 people into the Hall of Fame, right? So
Right.
first one was Mark Peacock.
And that was a good shock. Always good
Yeah.
to get back to Mark when he does those surprise things on stage. But I mean, we could talk another half an hour for all the things he's done. But basically, when I did the bio on him, there was so much to pick from. Everything he'd done had the spectacular results, and he's goes back to the Madison Avenue, New York days,
Yeah.
all the way through the real heavy duty marketing. He became an important member of our community at Tritium when he was vice president of marketing, and of course, he's taken Link Spring to the next level. And then of course, what he does for Project Haystack, that's all non-gratis. And then he does, Control Trends, he's master of ceremony. And like you said, he gave us a big push and some sage advice back when we needed it. So it's he very, very handsomely deserved.
And Mark, we appreciate all you do for us. He's helped us
indeed.
out so much, and he's always graciously been the MC for the ControlTrends Awards along with Kimberly Brown. And while we're doing that, shout out to Stacy McCammon from Stromquist and Rita Smyers for all they did helping getting things done with the show.
Again, yeah, Stacy, you're amazing. Thank you. And Rita, you won't watch us probably, but I'll tell you, you were on that show. Yeah, I tell you, it got
Just
so crazy.
the way to reward Rita, Kenny, is just with jewelry. That's it. Nothing says thank you like diamonds.
Every kiss begins with K. Okay.
Yeah, something like that, brother.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, listen, here's two new dimensions. One is you and I, again, thought long and hard, who are people that have changed our industries? One of the coolest things I think we ever did in that captured video of Belimo, the incredible guy that helped change us from foot-mounted actuators to direct coupled actuators, and just it's a beautiful capture. And I want you to tell us about how you worked that out with Larry, or what do you call it from Belimo? It's going to be edit point. I'll say it 3 times.
Belimo, the next one was Mike and
No. But the all of a sudden I had a brain freeze where I couldn't remember the guy from Belimo.
Oh, what are you talking about?
The first Hall of Fame inductee.
Oh no, let's not talk about that right now because we're running out of time. I'll just have to edit it down. So we'll just pick right back up with the next Hall of Fame.
Okay. Well, the next two gentlemen were Mike Marston and Lim Hoon Chot. The whole thing about Hall of Fame is that we can talk about when they became Hall of Fame candidates, but these guys moved the needle in our industry. They took technology and they moved innovation to the front, and they challenged some of the incredibly large vendors with some innovation and some really slick technology and dedication and determination. You had a great salesman in Mike Marston and a great genius technology guy and Lim Hoon Chot.
Well, yeah. And, we kind of put together, they're our first pair to go in together. We thought about, the great duos throughout history, like, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger. And, if you think about those two guys, I mean, they wouldn't have been great without each other. They were just a perfect pair. So it made sense to induct them together into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Mike Marsh and Lim Hoon Chot, and I appreciate what you've done for our industry. I think that what they've done will reverberate for years to come now that Johnson Controls has EZIO and that technology, especially with Gina Elliott involved and Johnson's great leadership team as well. So we'll hear more from EZIO, but it started with those two guys, Lim and Mike. So
second use of Indeed. Okay, and then the tearjerker was Mike Swan in Memoriam. Mike unfortunately passed away last year in the line of duty. I think he actually was volunteering to help fix equipment that wasn't working at a social event where obviously he didn't have to do it, but he was such a. I remember the thing that when I did some background on Mike, some of the comments made was Mike gave 100% at work. He gave it 100% at play, but when you needed him and you needed his help, he gave you 110%.
Yeah. No, Mike was phenomenal. And, Kenny, he was just somebody that you instantaneously called friend. He was a guy that, he was very loyal to his customers. He was a fierce competitor. He was a fighter, meaning that he fought with the vendors for his customers. But at the end of the day, he had a great smile, a great heart. And, we'd interviewed him several times on the show. So sort of as a tribute to Mike, we created a little short video of just some of the highlights of Mike that really sort of captured his smile and his spirit. So Kenny, I'll tell you what, when we end the show today, we will just play that video so people can see it. But again, Mike, you're going to be missed. We appreciate all you did. And again, part of Control Trends is, man, we don't ever want to forget. We want to always remember, and that's part of why we do the awards, and that's part of why we created the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's for sure, indeed, Eric. Well said. And I think it's a kind of a fitting summary to why Control Trends is important and will continue to be important. Is that we created that legacy feature with the Hall of Fame, the museum. Again, it's always under construction, under work, because it's Control Trends is just beginning. And as you mentioned, the potential for this to help the industry get its recognition, attract people, and document some of the fabulous people they've had in along the way. This is a good way to do it, through the Hall of Fame, through the P-Talk Awards, through all the other category winners.
So, buddy, let's do our outro, and then stay tuned. We'll play this short little video tribute to Mike Swan. Will be how we'll end the show today. So with that, Kenny Smyers, man, good to be back in the saddle. I think our next trip together is going to be to, the Niagara Summit in San Diego. Encourage you to sign up for that. We'll have got a ton of guests lined up we'll be bringing on the show here in the next month or so. So we appreciate you tuning in. So with that, remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and hey, hug somebody that's important to you, because you never know how much longer they're going to be around.
Oh, indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers. This is for you, Mike. Rest in peace, buddy.
Like a drum, I hear your rhythm, you feel so near. Oh, California, all senses clear.